I'm going to open it up if you two are both ready.
Yeah, how many people are you expecting?
50 are signed up.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, it shot up, so yeah.
No pressure, Rowan.
So people are coming in now. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. We'll just wait for a moment whilst everybody joins. We've got about 50 of you registered on the call today, so I'll just give it a minute or two for that to come in. So as always with our webinars, you're welcome to use the chat. Do pop in there and say hello to us. We'd love to hear from you. Use the Q&A to ask any questions that you want. You can do it anonymously. I can't talk. I've got a headache today and I can't speak. Or you can use the chat if you prefer, or raise your hand and we can unmute you if you're feeling brave. But without further ado, I'll introduce you to Adrian, who, if you've been on our webinars over the last year, you'll have seen him on some of those. They've been really popular and well received. And also, if you've ever been to our member events, you'll have seen Adrian at those from Active Workplace Solutions. Hi, Adrian.
Hi, Hannah.
Hello. And also Rowan, who I'm meeting for the first time actually today from Mapiq. And Adrian and Rowan are working together to prepare their clients for the return. So we'd love to hear more about both of you, to introduce yourselves briefly before you get started. So whoever wants to go first.
If I go first, I'll just say hello. You know, people might have seen me around at some of the events or on a previous webinar. Yeah, I'm a director and co-owner of Active Workplace Solutions. We've been proudly supporting Hannah probably for, well, since the day one, pretty much.
Day dot, yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's been a great journey, and watching how things have grown, or how the portal and what Hannah's doing has grown, which has been fantastic to be involved with. I'm not going to say too much. All I'm going to say, I'm going to introduce Rowan. I've been aware of Mapiq for a little while now, more around the smart office solutions with regards to room booking, desk booking, parking, wayfinding, that sort of thing. I really worked with them closely, or more closely, through a mutual client of ours at Virgin Media, where their new UK HQ in Reading is fully enabled with the Mapiq technology. And I know that Rowan and her team have also been rolling that out throughout their estate to help them get prepared for bringing people back into the workplace. I think the interest, certainly I picked up with Hannah a little while back, where one of the initiatives is some free trials that we're doing for people with regards to the Office Shifts product. And so I'll hand over to Rowan. She's got all the exciting stuff to show you with regards to the solution, to walk you through what technology there is now to support you in getting people back and planning that route back into the workplace. So Rowan, I'll hand over to you, and please introduce yourself and take it away.
I will. Thank you, Adrian, for this nice introduction. Yeah, and as Hannah, this is the first day we're meeting, but I had a great introduction by Adrian. So I really look forward to today's session. I've prepared a presentation, and we will dive into our demo environment to really work with the tool, so you can see it and feel it a bit from your screen. If there are any questions, feel free to ask, and I will make sure that we leave time at the end, like 15 minutes, to go over them. I already started sharing my screen, so I hope you can all see this all right. And let's just start. A bit about me, maybe. I'm one of the smart office advisors at Mapiq, and I'm focused on the UK region and some of our global accounts. Mapiq has been working with companies such as Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Unilever for the past 7 years into improving their work environments. And it was mainly focused because Deloitte was one of the companies that asked us to think about their future workplace when they started to build the Edge building in Amsterdam. And this is a smart office with over 30,000 sensors, and they've implemented activity-based working. And Mapiq was asked to build an app that would suit that workplace. Since then, since 2014, I think a lot has changed in the workplace, how we see it, how we feel it. But that has especially to do, I think, with the past year. And what we've realized is that with that experience, we can help companies all over the globe, and not only the Deloittes of this planet, but also a lot of smaller offices, because technology can really play a role in guiding employees through their office and making sure that it's like a frictionless experience to find a desk, your colleague, or a meeting room, which are all parts of our workplace, of course. But all activities take a lot of time that we cannot be busy with socializing, creative processes, or problem solving. Since 2014, some of our clients, I think I've already mentioned them, but we work together with local partners in all kinds of regions. And I think I want to focus mainly on the Virgin Media project that Adrian already introduced a bit, but I think it will give you good understanding of what technology is Mapiq actually offering. Virgin Media, as Adrian said, implemented a new way of working, which it was activity-based. So in their new office in Reading, which is an office for over 3,000 employees, they really saw the benefit of sharing a lot of workplaces. So sharing desks, meeting rooms. And what we've seen is that sharing before COVID would be really beneficial if you would do that based on real-time data. So we installed 2,600 Mapiq sensors, and this varies between desk sensors and meeting room sensors to show real-time availability of workplaces. So from home, people could have a look at the Mapiq app. They would see how busy it would be at the office based on real-time data. And of course, from the moment they are at the office, the system would tell them where they could go to do some focus work, find a phone booth, a meeting room. And in 2020, we actually rolled out another solution of ours to all their offices, not only in the UK, but also in Amsterdam, and even UPC, which is also a brand from Liberty Global in Poland. And this is Office Shift. So this is our Back to the Office app. And we see also that the implementation and the rollout from this new Office Shift app goes much faster than these quite big projects with sensors, for example. And today I will take you through the story of why we changed that product strategy and why we started building this new app. And before you do that, I will give you a couple of visuals of what the Reading project entails. So they have like a 3D model of their office, which you can see on the pictures. And they can open that on their desktop, on a mobile app, but also on kiosk screens within the office. And it really helps them to navigate themselves to the building, find colleagues and available workplaces. And a lot of that is done with sensor technology. So as you can see here on the picture, you see meeting rooms that are orange. You see a meeting room that's red, and you see meeting rooms that are green. And that tells actually the status of the room. So a meeting room that's green, that is available. When it's red, it's occupied. And when it's orange, there's a no-show. Meeting rooms and no-shows, I think the audience today knows a lot about this. But we really want to make sure that these can be used ad hoc. So as soon as it colors orange, because from the booking data from your Outlook or Google, we can see that it was booked. But from the Mapiq sensor, we can see that it's actually not occupied. So we try to make sure that this space still can be used for people that are bumping into each other in the hallway and decide to have a private meeting. By connecting with your Outlook and Google, employees can also make room bookings in Mapiq. So it's a two-way street. Everything that's made in Mapiq, you will see in your Outlook calendar or Google and the other way around. And with the sensor data, as explained, we can see a lot of real-time availability. But I think, we cannot use old technology for a new world. As I said, the world has changed so fast over the past year, and we all have a lot of new expectations and needs from our office places. So Mapiq started with a lot of experience and a blank sheet with thinking about how can we best help our clients in the return to the office, because we do really see that a hybrid model of remote work is likely to persist. We work together with research partners such as Leesman and Veldhoen, who research the workplace experience. And not only in the office, they have continued to do this over the past year. And we really see, we don't have to see all the details from this graph, but there's a lot of work activities that we do during a day, making a phone call, having a private conversation. But what I want to show you is that the green line is the office. So these are all things we can do very well at the office. And red are all things that we can do quite good from home. And we see that there's quite a balance in a lot of activities, but there's definitely also a difference. What we also see, and I think that's not new, but we know that there's a very tight correlation between personal interactions, performance, and innovation. So bumping into each other at a coffee machine or overhearing a conversation of a group of colleagues in the office can be very beneficial for creative processes and problem solving. I think this is the model from Alan, and maybe some of you know it. Somewhere during my studies, I've seen this as well. But on the horizontal axis, we see the distance, and on the vertical, we see the frequency of communication. We see that there's a really big decrease in communication from the moment that the distance is getting bigger between people. And of course, in 1977, we didn't have all these technology and tools and Zoom and Slack and WhatsApp and video calling for us to overcome this distance. But I think it has to be something we have to be aware of when choosing a type of technology that can help us in the office to get together again and stimulate these, I don't know, regular bump-ins at the coffee machine. So as Mapiq, we've said the office is here to stay, and it's very focused on getting teams together, not only for meetings, because it's also very important to do your focus work at the office or work in silence, but it is very focused on inspiring people, socializing, maybe even have some fun. And it's the place where our creative brain gets stimulated by the people around us and looking each other in the eye. And of course, a place where all your new hires get to know your company, feel the company culture, and being onboarded. So if we look at today's challenges, and we decided as Mapiq, we really want to focus on what is very important today. We saw that we needed to redesign our Mapiq app. And what is most important in that is that we very much believe that you need an adaptive workplace strategy. So gathering data in the most basic versions, because there's a lot of ways to gather data. And we've even wrote a best practices book with some practical steps to return to the office. And Adrian can share it with all of you. There's a lot of interesting facts on what type of data you can already start gathering today to help you to define that future workplace strategy, to plan that return to the office, but also measure how is it actually going? How do people react to that we've given them some credits to come to the office, maybe 1 day a week? All those type of things can be very good to start measuring, to take into account when you continue with this new way of using our workplaces. To really focus on the Mapiq product, because that is also a bit of what I want to show you today, is that our product strategy is very much focused on, you have a lot of different people in your buildings. And I think the audience today knows very well about that. Everybody needs something different from the office. What type of workplace do they need? How does their agenda look? What do they expect from the office place? And we see on the other side that a lot of the buildings are very different. Every building has a different access control system, a different parking system, different catering, and sometimes even within the same company and in the same city, a different room booking system. So how can we make sure that all those different type of technologies communicate very easily to each other, to make sure that there's one Mapiq and one app for people to use, but also one management dashboard where you can start comparing how people are using the office, which areas are most popular, which building is most popular, and start benchmarking and to make sure that you can maybe start reducing some costs can be really, it's really important that the technology in the background doesn't matter, but that you can start measuring and comparing. Places to work look very different. We have docking stations, high bar tables where we can have a short in-between moment to send some emails. But sometimes when places get overcrowded, or maybe not even overcrowded, because I do believe from our data that only 50% of office space is used, but people always feel that it's crowded, people start using bar tables for the entire day. Or maybe there is this lounge setting, and the same goes for meetings. There are so many different types of spaces that we design, and the architects, the designers, the furniture companies put a lot of effort in how and why people should use these spaces. So how can we make sure that we match that knowledge and the people, and we get them to that space that really fits their needs? Second, to take into account before I'm going to dive into the demo, is that there's a lot of ways that you can decide on how to do your team zoning. And I'm going to show you how you can use those decisions in our technology. You have free range, so you can give people access to an entire floor. And within that floor, they can make use of the docking stations, the high table, the phone booths, but they share it with different types of teams. You have team anchors. This will show you have one anchor where you can get together with your team, but further you're free to sit where you would like. And you have team zones. And then of course you have assigned seating. To conclude a bit of the research that I've taken you through is that today you will see a lot of what we have today and what we're going towards, because we're a SaaS company. So we're constantly preparing ourselves for the future workplace. But what we really see coming back in all those 7 years is that teams are the cornerstone of our strategy. Every user test we do, and it really doesn't matter if this is about room booking, about booking a desk, about reserving your day to come back to the office, every user is always very busy with their team. Can I see my team members? Where are they? Can I find them? Can I easily book for my entire team? And we see that there's a lot of adapting to new ways, new strategies. So we have to make sure that the technology offers quite some options to adapt and gather data. How do we translate this in a product? This is our Mapiq Starters package, and that is our Office Shifts product that Adrian referred to. This is what you can use within 5 working days. We can set it up very easily to make sure that your employees can reserve their shift or their day at the office. And you can do this by handing out credits as a manager or an office manager or the facility team or your HR team, or maybe even team members, team managers, not every member. They can control the admin portal. And in this admin portal, you can set your safe office capacity. You can say exactly how many seats you have available right now within the 1.5 or 2 meter distance. And I'm going to show you this in detail within the demo environment. So I'm just going to switch screens. Let me know if you can see it. We're not starting at the analytics page, but that was the one that was over, but we're gonna refer to that. The first step would be to create your building. So I already created an example. It can be the case that you have an office with different floors and different areas. And those areas, as I showed you the picture with the team zoning options, you can decide how you name those areas and how much capacity you have within those areas. So if your company has flexible areas or maybe open plan areas, or maybe your company uses team zones, let's take that as an example. You can create those zones per floor and you can say how many seats you have available within that preferred capacity, safe capacity. As you can see, you can easily change and adjust this, making sure that when you realize that, I don't know, when you shift the couch to the other side of the room and you switch tables around, you can even fit more people within the safe distance. You can easily add an area, delete an area, or change the number of seats. Let's say very quickly that we have a small office in, I don't know, Dublin. I already created a London version. And we say that we have on the ground floor just one area, and that is for our marketing team with 10 seats, and an area for sales with currently only 6 seats. And on the second floor, we have an area for HR and some business support teams. I'm just saying something like this. This could be the way that you can set up your office. But as I said, you can decide how to do this. And of course, we can help you with it. The second step would be to create profiles for people to come back to the office. So you can decide, everybody within your company can sign up very easily with their company email address. We will make sure that we whitelist that email address. Is a bit of a technical story, but that they can log in when they are linked to your company, and everybody will receive a default profile. And that means in this case that you can also create that profile, name it yourself. In this case, everybody that starts to come back to the office can come back to the office 1 day a week, or maybe 2 days, depending on the capacity that you have. So everybody within the company will receive this profile automatically as soon as they sign up. You can decide how many days up front they can make a reservation, and you can decide on which days they can make a reservation. To give people as much flexibility and stimulate them coming back to the office, we always propose to give them as much flexibility as possible. So from Monday till Friday. And we always advise to create some profiles for your exceptions. This can be new hires that need to be in the office more often to start getting to know some people face to face. And this can be, of course, your priority. You always have people that always need to be able to access the office. So you can even allow them to enter on Saturday and Sunday, or maybe that's not the case in your case, and then you just change it to 5 days. And of course, they can plan 3 weeks ahead instead of a week or a couple of days. It can also be that you have a certain team that needs a separate profile. Maybe they're working on this special product, any type of thing, you can create it. What you can also do is very easily create a location profile. And that means that you can give the default profile has access to every building. So if you have a company with multiple sites, you can make sure that people can reserve at every site. But it can also be the case for the first steps back that you only want people to have access to the Dublin office that we just created. And then you can create a profile for this, and you can use automatic profile assignments to make sure that people are automatically added to this profile. So if the home office is exactly Dublin, then you can make sure that everybody that enters the system and their home office is Dublin will receive this profile. Or of course, you can always upload a CSV file with some email addresses to make it easier. Secondly, besides creating this for a separate office, you can always do this for even an area. So if you have a team zone, like we created in the Dublin office, and you only want the marketing people to have access to the marketing department and don't reserve anywhere else, then you can do that by clicking on marketing team and deciding that. I will show you what type of options, what is the difference for the end user. So currently, if I go to my own profile, all your people will be in this overview. And as an administrator, you can create and book shifts on behalf of people. So for example, last week I needed to go to the office an extra day. I can also go to the office 1 day a week, but there was an event and I wanted to be there. I asked my office manager to book an extra shift for me, and she can override my profile. So if I already went to the office an extra time, the system will ask me, do you want to book an extra shift for her? I will show you. Now I've booked 2 shifts. If I want to book an extra day, it will also ask the administrator, actually this person has no rights, but do you want to book an extra shift? And then you can continue and book maybe even in an office that is not linked to my profile. You can also change somebody's profile. So if I give myself a priority profile and access to every office, then the end user interface will look like this. If this is the desktop view, if I want to make a reservation, I can choose my previous location or I can change it. And then I can book in every department, but also in every office. So I can decide where I want to book my shift. But if we want to go back to the admin portal and we use the profiles we just created, so the marketing profile and the people profile, I will also show you. I go back to the people tab, I select my name, I edit the profile. And of course, in this case, I'm the demo, so you see the same name, but employees cannot do it for themselves. You have the power to do this. If I give myself the marketing profile and the Dublin office marketing area location profile, and I save this and I go back to the end user interface, I see that I am not able to book because I already reached my limit. But if I would delete a shift and I want to book for this Wednesday, I can only book in the Dublin office on the ground floor in the marketing area. There's no other option for me. I cannot click anything else. It's not visible anymore. If we really set everything up, then the end user interface looks like this. Let me show you. So as an employee, you can do a bit more than just reserving it on your desktop view. Let's see, we can log in. The first time they will see a welcomes message that you can also create in the portal. I will see an explanation of my profile. So I can go to the office 2 shifts each week. I can plan it 10 working days in advance, and I can go on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And Timothy is our office manager, so I know that I can contact him if I have any questions. And you can also even add a link, for example, to rules and regulations that you have maybe set up for people when they come back to the office. I can continue and I can start booking a shift. But before I do that, and this is the most favorite part of the app for every end user employee, is making a connection. And that means that just like on LinkedIn, I can send a connection request to my colleague, and they can also do that to me. And I am able to accept or ignore that request because it will allow me to decide if I want to share with my colleagues when I'm planning to go to the office and in which area I will be seated. In this case, let's assume that I like all my colleagues. I accept Michael, Ryan, and Rebecca, and I already have these colleagues as my connections. When I start to make a booking, I see that if I want to make a booking for this Thursday, I can filter easily. So because I'm doing a project with Ryan and Robert, and I only want to see their initials, so I select their names and I can sign up for Thursday because I see that then both of them will be at the office. And it now only shows their initials because I filtered for it. if I click on the Thursday, I can easily reserve in the customer experience area, because they will be both seated there, but I can still pick my previous location or choose another one with one of my other colleagues. Let's say I booked the customer experience area and now I'm good to go to the office. As soon as people have booked, they're allowed to come back to the office, and we can make sure that we can connect this to your access management system to make sure that actually only the people who have signed up can also enter the office. And we really do that because it's really important to keep that safe office capacity. Of course, this is not obliged. This is optional. You can decide as a company if you would like that. And the information that we would share with the access control system is the shift overview. So this is a list with everybody that booked a shift at the office for that specific day. And you can easily filter on which office, which floor, which area, so that you have an easy overview. What we also see that some companies don't have a connection with access control, but they have a receptionist that just checks the system when people come in. And of course, the analytics. And this is where you have an overview of your booked shifts. How are your quota profiles used? How many users do we currently have compared to the quotas that we've given? And of course, the trends. It always needs a bit to load because I just created some new buildings and profiles, and it's taking that into account. But this is where you have an overview of your data. But I'm going to take you a bit through that story in the presentation again. And then it's time for some questions. So what type of data can you gather from office shifts? You can really start analyzing the booking behavior of your employees. And there are a couple common pitfalls. And these are also discussed in the best practices book. And I think you all are very much aware of that because it's a behavior we've seen for a long time within booking meeting rooms. But we see that sometimes there's a feeling of scarcity. And that feeling of scarcity is much bigger than that there's actually scarcity in most workplaces. So how can we make sure that our employees always feel that there's enough place for them, and that when they come to the office, they actually have the preferred workplace to do their job, is a very important topic always in our products. We see that 31% of people only books like 1 or 2 days up front. So this shows us that they decide pretty ad hoc if they go to the office or not. And you can compare different profiles. So we see, for example, that most priority profiles book earlier, so already 2 weeks ahead, for example, compared to people that just have the 1 day profile with the majority of the company, and they really start booking a day ahead. And of course, the regular bookings are just everything that's in between. Claiming behavior within meeting rooms is something we always see. And we wanted to show you this because we're working on specific desk booking on the map as well. And what we really find important is that you have your workplace that are available and the ones that are occupied. And we really want to visualize also what's the reality. So all those people that forgot to cancel, didn't check in, forgot to show up. Yeah, we need to make sure that these places are also actively used. And which is what is really, for me, exciting to see since we launched Connections, so the ability to connect with colleagues to go back to the office. We saw a big increase in bookings made with these connections from the moment we launched it. So this really acknowledges the fact that people want to go to the office to see a team member or work together or be with that project team. And we already saw a big shift in collaboration versus individual work. So people that booked a shift in a focus area compared to booking a meeting room, all those type of data we are comparing at some of our current customers. A takeaway is just, start measuring today to prepare for the future. And because there's a lot of exciting features coming up. And this is a very brief sneak peek into our next phase of the Mapiq app. I think I highlighted it a few times today that we're really focused on getting teams together in the office. So what we want to do is that we want to give people, besides the fact that they can make connections, we also want to make sure that they can create project groups so that you can even easier use those connections when reserving your day at the office. This will allow you to see how many % of your project group is in. You can create those own teams, so it can be a project group, but of course it can also be the buddies you play pool with. You can create a group for them, and you will always have an overview of all the connections, just like you have today. But then instead of the initials, you see a nice picture, and that will allow you for specific team booking. So if you want to book a zone for 6 people of Project Alpha, you can reserve a group of desks. This means that we're going to allow desk booking and area booking, because we see that a lot of organizations need both sometimes, or one, they are really doubting in between what works best. And we want to make sure that the technology offers both options and that we can really start helping you to make some decisions on that. But in both versions, we're really focused on the people aspect of it. So we're going to support 3 important use cases. People can book based on their last known location in an area or a specific desk. You can select your preferred workspace. What we really see from user testing is that it's not much about where or which floor, but it's a lot about what type of workspace is it. Can I work in silence? Is there an adjustable desk? Is there a docking station? Those type of details. And then the finding a desk near your team members. What's added to that is a new version of our maps. So I think in the beginning, I show you the 3D model that Virgin Media has, but there's also for our starters package, a new way of adding a floor plan. So not only area booking, but also on a specific desk. And it will allow you to use your floor plans and draw your own map. You can push like a 3D preview button in the right corner to see what happens if you launch this. And on the right side, you can also see that you can really specify what type of desk is this, what type of equipment has it, and is it bookable or non-bookable. And for the employees, it's really all about visualizing that. I think I miss a visual. I will send it to you. It's the 3D model view for the employees when making that booking on the map. To close off, there's a lot more to come. I'm going to send this deck to you so that you can have a sneak peek into our roadmap. But it's really exciting, and it's really great to have. If you ever want to talk or discuss, I'm really open to that, because it's always great to hear opinions, because we really realize that every office has its own needs. The starters package can be implemented within 5 working days. There's a couple of things we need to know. What do you want to solve? Maybe not only with the return, but if you think a bit further, how many locations and desks do you have? And do you want an integration with single sign-on, or do you want to use the self-sign-up version? With self-sign-up, we have a free trial, and that is a combined offer from Active Workplaces and Mapiq, in which we offer the first 1,000 shifts on us, meaning that you can start using our product for free. And after these 1,000 shifts, we will have a go or no-go meeting in which you can decide to continue with a paid contract or not. I also included the price model in this slide deck. I will send it to you. Depending on the size of your building, there's a monthly subscription cost. That was the presentation. Very curious to hear your questions.
Thank you so much. I'm coming back on. See if we've got any. Has anybody got any questions at all about the software, or any other tips or insights? Because I think what's really useful in there, as well as seeing the software for us, is the insights that were given on the shift between the collaborative and the individual working, and how that software has produced some of those stats. So that's probably a really good insight for the office manager. And I did say in the chat, I love the fact that as Mapiq, you've decided that the office is here to stay, and no more of this nonsense about no more office and the office is dead, because it's all BS, quite frankly. Office managers are here to stay. So yeah, any questions? It doesn't look like we've got any. But thank you so much, Adrian and Rowan. That was really useful and some insightful facts, as I said. So yeah, so if you can send the presentation, I'll shoot it round to everybody. And then oh, there is a question. There's a question coming through.
There's also one thing. We have the best practice book, and I didn't want to steal everything that's in there, but it's filled with, I took like 4 or 5 graphs today from that book, but it's filled with this data on how we've seen our clients using the office during summer when they started to trial the return, compared to the data that we've gathered before 2020. And it's a really interesting report, and we're constantly writing this type of expert book in the upcoming months with new information.
Okay. And so that's not ready to be released just yet, you say?
Yeah, the best practice book is released.
Okay.
There's a new version coming up in May.
Okay. So, if you're happy to share that, please, that'd be great. And so we do have a question. How do you feel about the term hot desk?
Good question. I was in user tests the entire Tuesday. And I do really see is that what we've focused on before COVID was very much helping clients to move to activity-based working. And that is a type of hot desking as well, because people choose an activity, and that's probably within an open area with hot desks. I think this is also the term hot desk is really region specific. If we tell this to a company in Asia, they are really not even about hoteling, and hot desking is not even a topic. It's a very first start into flexible working. In the Netherlands, it's completely different terminology, but I do really think in what type of way you're doing it. And that's also why we're adjusting the technology to giving you a lot of options to do it, is that it should really fit your organization and your group of people. And even within your organization, you're probably going to have different needs. But we as Mapiq really want to make sure that the technology can fit you, because there's no, we've heard it a million times in all those online webinars, but there's no one size fits all.
I think in the UK, certainly hot desking has got the connotations. It's just in the past, hot desking was just something that people referred to. Oh, I'm going to take away all your office, we're going to cram everybody in, and you never have space anymore. You're going to have to fight for your own own space. And I don't think, as you say, Rowan, we've come away from that to much more flexible activity-based working, and that and many companies, and I know you've referred to Leesman in your presentation, but and I think you're on the presentation as well with me. I was on last week with Leesman, which was very interesting, where the good office design still, if you've got a well-designed office, it will trump pretty much everything. However, if you've got an averagely designed office, an average designed home supports work better than an averagely designed office, which is pretty sad, really, when you come to think about it. But yes, activity-based working, having different settings. We said we were taking people on that journey beforehand to support, different settings to support work. Those settings are going to change. I think the balance is going to change, certainly, post-COVID. We're seeing it a lot with our clients at the moment, where they've got a lot that's sitting on their hands and they don't want to do anything. The uncertain times at the moment, they're not sure. So they, quite rightly, I was saying to a person in the office today, I'm thinking all the clients that went, gung-ho trying to buy sneeze screens, a year ago, and they probably still not had anybody in the space to use them. But people are biding their time. But we are seeing a number of people removing desks, creating collaborative spaces. Zoom rooms, I heard the term Zoom rooms for the first time this week, is where I think there was a big swell of interest around, there's going to be a destination. Coming to the office is going to be the new, it's got to make it a destination. It's where we're going to collaborate. We're going to train. It's where the cultural piece of the company is going to be. But also we are going to, it's now becoming self-evident that as well that, if you're having meetings, if you're going to have a highly hybrid workforce where you might have two, a homework setting, an office, perhaps a third space, which it might be a flexible space, more local to people, so that people who can't work purely at home can go somewhere to work collaboratively. But if you're going to have meetings, it's very rare that you're going to have everybody in the same space physically for a meeting, and therefore you are unlikely to have a meeting that's going to have 3 or 4 people in the same office, but then the rest on Zoom or Teams or whatever. So you're going to default to a virtual meeting. Now, we can't sit in an open plan collaborative space and all sit there on our own, virtual meetings. So there's going to be a lot more. I think there will be a greater push as well for more private, almost like telephone box type spaces where people can have own meetings. The workplace has come leaps and bounds over the last 10 years, but this last year is going to is put everything on its head, and it's going to be rushed forward even further.
But then there's also companies like Goldman Sachs who are saying we ain't changing a damn thing.
Yeah.
If you want to work flexibly, you still have to put in a formal request through HR in line with our flexible working policy, and I love that. Because it doesn't, like you said, and it is the cliche, but it's true, not every size fits all. So, and
it'll be how that sits with their employees.
Yeah, I mean, I worked for JP Morgan for 3.5 years, and I can't imagine JP are going to do much to do with that either. They, the flexible working model works on request for a reason. But at the end of the day, I was working till 1, 2 a.m. there most nights because you have to work damn hard for the company to make money. And it's the same for Goldman Sachs. And I can't imagine for a minute that they wouldn't want employees there, because they want to have their arms wrapped around you and make sure that you're doing what you're paid to do. So, what's that?
What are they doing at the moment?
Who, JP?
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
I sleep better now. Yeah, that's American firms for you, big American banks. That
could be one of the reasons, culturally, the big American banks and
I think it's partly that, and I think it's an investment banking logic as well. It's the industry that they're in. You need to, you're working on some heavy deals in finance, and you need to be present at these meetings to have a voice. And I have spoken to some of my old friends that are still there, and they can't see that it's going to change too much either. And I think since Goldman pushed that article out, it's like everything in this world. There'll be other businesses that will now not be as afraid to speak up and say, actually, we're going to do that as well, because there was that fear that everybody had to adopt this hybrid model. Otherwise, they were a bad company that weren't supporting employees. But actually, it's perfectly reasonable and fine for a company to say, no, do you know what? We do want our staff here pretty much every day, that they're paid to work, unless there's a formal process of flexible working because they're a new mum, they're a retired employee or near retired employee, or whatever it might be. So it's very interesting.
We don't all have to change right now. No. Like, it's impossible to all do that. But I do really think it's important to start measuring what do we need, like what do our people need, because even the investment bankers of this world, I don't know how fast it's gonna go, but they will see family, relatives, people that work for different type of companies having a better work-life balance, more flexibility to, I don't know, work at least 1 day a week from home, or I don't know, any type of thing. And like, we live in a world where, especially here in the Western world, like, talent is quite scarce. So of course they need to start thinking about how are we going to do that? Maybe not now, but 10 years from now, definitely they will need to do something about it.
But that's why they're good payers as well.
Yeah, of course. There's
They're
always
one
a
of the
balance,
top
right?
IB payers in the world. So if you want to work for Goldman and get paid, you turn up. I don't know. I've read the article, and it is definitely an interesting time. But I think it's just echoing your point that, as an office manager, if you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, we have, or your boss is saying, do you know what, we don't have to have everybody back to work, and you're thinking, oh my God, we need to, or whatever. There's different opinions out there. It really just is a case of discussing and making sure that it's right for you and your business and the culture of your business, and what's right for your business to succeed, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? And if by your employees not being together, your business has suffered, it's and not just in a financial model, in terms of professional and personal development, then there's probably an argument to say that actually people do need to be in the office more than they do at home, or that there isn't a model that suits us at the moment where people can work from home, at all, or whatever it might be. But I think there's 3 different models. That is the full hybrid, where you might have a flat structure of saying, okay, everybody can work from home 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 1 day a week, whatever it might be, and that's just across the board. Or it might be the Goldman model of, nope, you're all coming in, you're clocking in, and your only way out is by a formal flexible working request, which has been in place for some time. Or the other end, which is we're shutting the office down, or we're going to a WeWork type model, and you can come in whenever you like. To me, and I don't know what you guys think, but to me, they're the 3 models I think we're going to see.
I also think that's what I hear the most, also from clients of ours. But we do see a lot of regional and cultural differences coming back in all those strategies. It's really the really tech-enabled companies with offices all over the world, and a board deciding what is best for the entire company. It is an option, but we also see the Danone, for example, which is a client of ours. They have a global advice, but every region and every location can make these type of decisions for their own workforce, because it is really different. Like maybe we all have a great place at home, but not every place in the world has the same type of workforce. Or maybe for example, this morning I had a call with Singapore, and they said, but the connections feature is great, but the only thing that our people want to see when the boss is in, because then they want to go in, because they want to be seen.
Have time and learn.
I could rather care. Like, I really like my boss, but I could rather care if he's in or not. So these type of things, I think it's really important to take them into account.
And then there's some company bosses, rightly so, if that's how they want to do it, which is you're paid to come in. I'm not changing a damn thing, and I completely understand that model as well. So it's different. It depends on the business model. It depends on how the business thrives and functions, and the appetite of the bosses, and the culture, and the pressure upwards from employees. But it is interesting times, but it is not the end of the office, people.
No, I also don't think that.
No,
definitely not.
I was in like a few weeks ago for the very first time, and I was so excited. I was like jumping up and down, like I could not wait to be there. And I saw my own office manager in the front of the window, and I was like waving at her, like, "We're here." She was like, "Yes." I really hope everybody's going to get that feeling back.
Yeah.
I wish people had that feeling when they turned up and saw me in the window.
I'm sure someone somewhere in the world does, Adrian.
Unfortunately, they turned them the other way, but there you go.
Right. My rash has come up because I'm so passionate about this topic. I'm like on fire, like, yes. Bring the office back. Right. Okay. If there's no other questions, or everyone on the webinar, feel free to share your opinions on chat. But if there's no other questions, then thank you so much for joining, and thank you again, Rowan and Adrian, for the introduction to Mapiq and the interesting facts and things you've laid out today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Pleasure. Okay, everybody, we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Take care all.
Bye.
Pleasure, everyone. Bye now.
Everyone.
Safe trip to the office.
Yeah. Bye.